No, we did not get that type of an update. We know that they're getting close to closing it out, and there should be signatures being asked for.
Do you expect text today?
It sounded like it could be. It would be this week. It sounded like whether it's today or tomorrow, I don't know.
What did you make of these recent comments from President Biden within the last hour or so, suggesting an openness, a greater openness than he has before to border policy changes?
Look, this is a package I think the vast majority of us want to see passed. But it will not happen without border security included. The president's had that message now delivered to him on multiple occasions over the last month. And I think after today's vote, it will sink in that we are very serious about it. And it's not just a matter of making changes in policy, it means they have to actually implement the policies that they agree to. And that's going to be the biggest issue because there is very little trust in this administration in actually making the policy reforms and acting on them.
Should the negotiations rise to the level of the principals, Biden, McConnell, for example, or should they stay at the gang level?
Let me just share with you, I think James has done an excellent job of staying focused where he needs to and speaking as one voice on behalf of our conference. At some point in the future, at the appropriate time, I would suspect that the president will want to deal with Senator McConnell. That's fine. I think Senator McConnell has been on board and he has been in touch with Senator Langford. So there is no disconnect between those two. So I'm very pleased with the way it's working. I wish it could move more quickly. I would love to have had this done before Christmas, but it may take longer than that to get our Democrat colleagues to understand how serious we are.
You're saying it may take longer than Christmas?
It may, because this is not going to move without border security being addressed.
Do you think this could buttress up against spending?
I'm sorry?
Do you think this could buttress up against spending?
I don't understand that.
Or run up against government spending in January or February?
So I'm going to run together. We're only in session about 28 weeks next year with the elections coming up and so forth. So, we don't set the calendar, but it's going to be very, very tight next year.
Thank you, sir.
Did you miss that, Senator?
Sounds, yeah, no.
Yeah, sure.
Frustration. It's a frustration that anybody as an elected official in the United States should be expected to enforce the laws of the land. Even if you disagree with them on the executive side, you still have an obligation to enforce the laws that are in place. The frustration here is that we know what the laws are and we know what the protection of the border means. This administration has decided that they're simply not going to enforce those laws.
Yeah.
That really brings about frustration in how do you make a president enforce the laws that are already on the books. And if they decide that they're going to ignore the injunction from the courts, if they're going to ignore the direction from the courts, what's your next step? And that is a real frustration for this conference.
You've seen the conference that's frustrating.
Oh, sure. Multiple occasions. But this one,
It just feels more intense than the other ones. I
Well,
guess that's why I asked that.
I think it's because we all want to see, the vast majority of us want to see this proposal put together. We want to see funding for Israel, we want to see funding for Ukraine, but we also recognize that you can't go home and say we funded protection and security for other countries, but we have done nothing to secure what is an obvious problem on our southern border. 77% of the American people say that is a real problem on the southern border. And when you got the most recent report yesterday, 12,000 people were allowed into our country across the border yesterday.
Not to mention that it is, obviously it's an issue with you guys, but it's more even than the house. It's like,
And if,
just can't get anything across the line.
and if we can't get this done on a bipartisan basis over here, there's no way that we can get it done in Congress. So we really do have to make this work in such a fashion that both sides can agree that something has been completed appropriately, we're better off than we were before, and we've actually secure the southern border. If we don't secure the southern border, there's no way they'll even bring it up in the House.
Do you feel like that's been part of the change because the Senate's now kind of speaking with the voice of the House, which is why the volume got pitched up? Because we all sense a change, at least from outside the skiff.
The thing we noticed was when folks like Kramer and Fisher and Romney coming out and getting all really pissed.
Yeah,
That takes it up another level.
what was frustrating.
That's like a South Dakotan getting pissed.
Yeah, I mean, what was frustrating yesterday was we all know what the issue in the room is. It's the southern border. And so yesterday's discussion on, we're only going to talk about the issues of Ukraine and Israel. When that was announced up front, it was like, time out. What are we doing here? We're talking national security. All of the other items are in the bill. You've asked for money on the southern. You've brought it into the bill at the executive level to begin with. Why are you saying now that we don't want to discuss that? And when
And there was no one to talk about.
and there was no one there that was briefed on it to be able to visit on it. We suspected that might be the case, but at the same time, I think the vast majority of us went there with good intentions. Some folks walked out because they said, look, until we address the issue of the southern border, the rest of this is a moot point. I didn't agree with that. I thought we needed to hear from them so that we knew that if there were other nuanced items that needed to be modified, changed, and so forth, that's the reason why I stuck on it. But this is an important issue. We need the southern border included, as the president had suggested, but we've got to get it executed on.
Would Mayorkas' presence have helped? It kind of feels like they might have tried to hide him because all the censure resolutions against.
It would not have surprised me a bit if he would have come. But that's where the entire focus would have been on Mayorkas. So
they tried
I
to-
understand why they
It's
didn't.
almost like you need two briefings, one for the Ukraine stuff and one for
Yeah, which is probably what would happen. Here's the challenge. Even if the policies that are in effect right now that they're using, which is basically if you come to the southern border, take one step in, you're allowed to be paroled into the United States. Asylum should not be allowed if you're here. Asylum should be allowed only if you follow the laws, which are you go to your embassy in the nearest country, then you can stay there while your asylum decision is being made. And if the administration wants to accelerate that process, great. But in the meantime, not being allowed into the country. That's the issue.
Appreciate you.
Hey,
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just wondering, update on NDAA.
what I know about right now is that it sounds anyway like it's going to be done this week from the way it sounds. Sounds like everybody's ready to start signing on. I do not have all the specifics in it yet. I'm just getting half reports right now.
So how frustrating is that? Because you have an amendment, at least one that got included.
Still pending. I've still got one pending, but I've been working on it this morning. Don't know if it's there or not. I think we've got it resolved, but I'll find out when they start asking me to sign pages. So.
Have you been talking to Schumer? How much is he working on your amendment with him?
Oh, he's been actively involved.
Yeah. But you guys are kind of cut out, even though you're a conference committee?
No. I worked on it this weekend, and it's just just because you're working on it doesn't mean you get agreement.
Yeah.
So you continue to look back and forth on different alternatives, and I recognize I'm not going to get everything that I want, but I can get parts of it. And
Is it changing?
there's some things in it that we're going to get, and some things we're not going to get.
Is eminent domain still in?
I won't get into the specifics right now, but there's some good things that will give us an opportunity to work on additional issues for the next year.
So it'll be there at least in the shell.
Well, that's my understanding right now. I want to look at it first.
Fair. Wise. Me too. Thanks, sir.